This is Jyotilal. Welcome back to my chess vlog. Continuing my analysis of center, today I am going to discuss with you the concept of little center. So what is little center? Let me demonstrate here. A pawn on the 4th rank being opposed on the 3rd rank. So we can see here the little center. This is little center. So now we have to go through a game and I will explain to you in detail. So the game that I'm going to discuss with you, it was played by Botwinnik, the former world champion, against Whitmore. So it started with c4, Botwinnik played c4 and the opponent played e6, knight f3, d5, d4, knight f6, a typical queen's gambit decline position, bishop e7, knight c3, castle, e3, knight bd7, bishop d3, c5, castle, c takes d4, e takes d4, d takes c4, bishop takes c4. Well, we have our desired position here, white having little center, also an isolated pawn. It is essential to understand the various aspects of this pattern before composing a plan. First of all, white, the side with the little center, should initiate an attack on the king side, as he can use this little center, the e5 square, as his launching pad. So now you can understand here the square e5. This is the little center. Usually there are two plans when it comes to playing this particular pattern, because white has got this pawn which is also called the IQP, or the isolated queen pawn. So white has got basically two plans. The first one is placing his knight on the square and starting an attack on the king side. But it has to be done after careful preparation, possibly the queen going here and the rook coming to the d1 square, and then the queen shifting to sometimes to g3 or h3, and then initiating a strong attack against black on the king side, depending upon the black's response. Now the other plan is he can play d5, because this is the isolated queen pawn. But this is actually is a completely different topic. I will discuss this in a later video. Right now I am focusing on the exploitation of this center, that is little center, with white knight occupying this square. So here black played knight b6. Well, this probably an unsound strategy. This leaves the e5 square to the white's knight. Even though it is essential to raise a blockade against the white's pawn on d4, this move hampers the development of the black's queen side. More useful would have been a6, b5, bb7. Well, in this case, black is going to erect a blockade against the white's d4 pawn. So it becomes very clear that white won't be able to push this pawn. So the only possibility left for white is to initiate an action on the king side against black. So after b6, bishop was dropped to b3 and black played bishop to d7. Well, this looks a bit ugly here, placing bishop on d7 square. But black is rather compelled to develop his bishop in this fashion. Queen d3, white has composed a plan to attack the black's king side here. Knight b d5. Well, this move is not so good, because usually when you play against an isolated pawn, it is desired that you exchange as many pieces as possible so that you can take the game into an endgame. So going by that principle, it would have been better to play this knight, the f6 knight to d5, prompting an exchange of bishops. Somehow black was not confident in his position after the exchange on the king side, so he went for knight b d5. Possibly a wrong plan, because it is not going to help him in the long run. Knight e5, and white successfully places his knight on the little center square. Now after e5, black played bishop c6. Even though the bishop looks like a stout defender, it is actually no more than a tall pawn. Its exchange by the knight on e5, however, is a positional blunder, as this would add to the black's hold over the d5 square. Moreover, the knight is a very active piece on e5, dangerously poised towards the king side. Rook a d1. Well, white strengthens his center pawn, the d4. Even though it's isolated, it is also giving him the strong e5 outpost. White is certainly slightly better here. Knight b4. Well, this move is of dubious value. As we can see from the white's response, white immediately takes his queen to the h3 square. Now bishop d5. The problem here for white is to take a decision regarding the exchange of bishop on d5. Well, black is proposing the exchange. This bishop exchange is unavoidable, but how should he exchange? Well, he has two options. He can take with the knight or he can take with the bishop. If you take with the bishop, probably he is losing a strong piece that can be of great use later in the attack against black's king side. So knight into d5 should be called for. Of course, Botwinnik played this move, knight into d5. Once again, black took back with the b knight, committing a similar mistake. He committed a few moves earlier. Now he should have taken back with this f6 knight. So now white played f4. The attack is in full swing. The threat is f5. So after f5, if black takes on f5 with his e-pawn, the bishop gets a soft diagonal up to the king. On the other hand, if black permits an exchange on e6, say f5 into e6, there is going to be a serious weakness on the e6 square. So white's f4 move is a very powerful threat. So after f4, black played rook c8, and f5, we can see white is on the roll. So after f5, black took on f5, rook into f5. As we can see here, after rook into f5, almost all the white pieces except the rook on d1 are quite aggressively posted. And we can easily conclude that this position is giving white a clear advantage, very close to a winning advantage. And after rook into f5, black played queen d6. Well, queen d6. This move offers white some chances, some definite chances. Can you spot the chance here? Let me pause the video for a moment. Well, the move is knight f7, a simple combination. And this is a clear success of the little center strategy. The knight that was posted on e5 now nets the full pawn for white. After knight f7, a rook takes f7, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, a rook takes d5, queen c6. Now this is totally winning. White should not play rook c5 because bishop into d4 and black takes the rook. So here Botwinnik didn't make that mistake. He played rook d6 and the queen went back to e8 and rook d7. Here black resigned. So we have seen a clear demonstration of the strength of the little center. White clearly demonstrating as to how one can play with the little center, the knight on e5 acting as a great attacking tool. In the next video, I'll be explaining to you as to how one can play against the little center. So till then, bye.